MC Press Online presents Video Tutorials with Joe Pluto. Video Tutorial Volume 1, WDSC Basics. Tutorial number 6, Debugging a Program Using a Service Entry Point. You should have already started up WDSC using the workspace that you've been using for the tutorials up until this point. Your workbench should look like what you see on the video. You should see the iEdit perspective icon on the upper right, the fast view icons on the lower left, the iSeries error list view should be open in the bottom of the workbench, and you should see the source for the proof program in the editor. If your workbench isn't open and set up like this, please do so. Pause the video. We'll wait. Okay, next. First thing we want to do is click on the Remote Systems Explorer Fast View icon as shown, and the Remote Systems Explorer will appear. If your connection is not already open, expand it by clicking on the plus sign. Once that's open, you should see iSeries Objects. You may have to click on that to open it. At that point, your library list may be open. Please click on it to close it to remove some of the clutter. Finally, you should see the PBD-Toot library filter. Click on that to expand it, and you will see the PBD-Toot library itself. If that's not open, expand that. At that point in time, your bench should look like what I see here. Your Remote Systems Explorer view will have everything open. Now, at any point along that line, if you had to expand something and you didn't already have a connection, you would have been prompted for your user ID and password. Just enter them, click OK, and go on. Okay, now it's time to create the service entry point. A service entry point is a very powerful debugging technique in which you specify a program and a user ID, and if that user calls that program in any way, interactive, batch, trigger, stored procedure, doesn't matter, then the job will be suspended and control will be transferred to your WDSC workbench for debugging. To set a service entry point, you simply right-click on the proof program in the PBD-Toot library. Note that you might have two objects named proof, one here, one here. The one that you want is the program, which you can recognize by seeing the star PGM in its object name. The second is the proof source member. While you can set a service entry point by right-clicking on the source member, it's actually much quicker to set it on the program object directly. So you say right-click on the program, debug service entry, set service entry point. Select that option, and if you're still not connected, at this point you will definitely be prompted for your user ID and password. Enter both of those, and then press OK to continue. You may next see a message that says your debug server is not up to date. Okay, this sometimes signals a problem with PTFs. Other times it's simply a warning message that says that you're on an older release. If you get this message though, and then the SEP doesn't work, it's time to use the verify connection option on the connection to then see what PTFs you might be missing. In my case, the target machine is a V5R3 machine, and while it might be missing a couple of PTFs, I know that service entry points work fine, so I can ignore this message by clicking OK. At that point, a progress dialog will come up, followed by a status dialog that says that the service entry point was set successfully. So you see the status dialog, and then you see the service entry point is set successfully. If I click OK, the next thing I'll see is the service entry points view on the bottom of the workbench, showing that the SEP has correctly been set for proof in PBD-Toot, for user ID PBD-Toot on PBD host. Perfect. All is good. Now it's time to invoke the program. The simplest way is probably just to submit a call to the program. It's real easy to do. Bring up Remote Systems Explorer again, and then all I have to do is right-click on iSeries Objects, and I'll see an option for Run Command. Select that, and up will come a dialog in which I can type a call to PBD-Toot/proof. Now, I could run it directly here. I'm actually going to have it run in batch to show you that this works on batch jobs, interactive jobs, anything. Okay, so I'm going to click on batch, and when I hit OK, that's going to submit the job to batch, and I'll see a dialog come up saying that the job has been submitted. I'll click OK on that, and I'll see another dialog that will come up with a warning message again. Watch what happens. I say OK. He says it was submitted. I said OK there. And now, if you got the warning message that says your debug server version was not up to date before, you'll definitely get it again. Hit OK, and then watch the magic occur. This is so cool. At this point in time, what will happen is it switches to the debug perspective. The job gets submitted. It gets suspended. Debug is invoked on that job. The source comes up. It shows you that it's on the first line of the source. And at this point in time, the actual job on the host is suspended, and you can start to debug. You can step through lines of code. You can examine data. You can even change variables if you need to, and do all the things that you would normally do in a debug session. Right now, what I'm going to do is just show you how to exit. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to resume the program. We do that by clicking on this little DVD type play icon. That's going to resume the execution of the program. And since there are no other breakpoints, the program will simply execute to completion, and you'll get a message that says the program was terminated. At that point, just hit OK. And that is it for this tutorial and this initial volume. In it, you've started WDSC, customized the workbench for maximum editing capabilities, created a library, copied a source file, edited it, compiled it, and invoked it in debug mode. That's basically all you need to get started with WDSC as your primary development platform. Obviously, we've just scratched the surface, but I hope that you've enjoyed the tutorials up until this point, and I hope they help you on your way to being more productive with WDSC. This has been an MC Press Online production. This has been a Pluto Brothers design tutorial.